Dang, that's low.
really into traffic. So I would, and I was able to turn into traffic like just in time. Like, and sometimes I just had to go home. They were late, and so I went out with a plan to do something, and it wasn't safe, and I didn't feel like dealing with them all day long. So I just went home and so get your thoughts, but I also didn't do what I wanted. But I was the oh, I remember that it's called.
Yeah, I know. Come on.
Like we would have over and up to my house, and I would have to lie down in the back seat, like almost on the floor, so that they couldn't see paparazzi that were waiting in the street couldn't see that I was in the car, or have a friend pick me up, and I would have to hide under yoga mats and things like that. I also didn't realize like we'd go to somewhere like let's say the Grove, how many people or somewhere on like Rodeo, how many people were paid money to do this to be a celebrity spotter. Right. And you think you fooled them and you got out of there, and it just takes one person to see you, and that's your day. Yeah. Well, but even it was around the same time that the book you talked about that the first time you did show, and I was wondering what do you when you reflect back on it now, and what version of you will be there?
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it just by thinking about it. Meet Base 40, a complete AI creation platform. Try what you want. Watch it take shape. You can plan, customize, and expand any direction. From build for one, the platform is ready for many. From passion projects to enterprise grade systems, everything is built in and ready to launch. It's a new world of creation where you can know its stars, your imagination.
I love.
Let
I love. I love. I love. I love. Hey,
I like what do you think a normal childhood looked like,
I'll freak.
and how would you escape them? Yeah. When in the not a book that I found like something that I was totally unaware of, and I read from it here. You talk about this is so when you are natural, you also become a mother.
and it was this idea that Nashville was almost writing based on the life, writing around. You talk about the storylines we have characters,
Dang, this kind of slow.
how a Nashville they mirrored what you made in your personal life. And you write this specifically. I was suffering from debilitating anxiety
Look at
and
you.
an addiction I couldn't shake, and I had to live through it twice. First at home as Hayden, and then in front of millions as Julia.
Yeah.
And that really struck me because, I think we all watch TV and film and everything. We don't really, it's almost like we believe you are that character anyway.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
you don't really ever know what the real character is until you, and it's, you can in an interview, but if you don't
see that, if you only see someone for 3 minutes on a late night show or a morning show or whatever,
Right, you have no.
you have no real sense of who they are
Exactly.
beyond, oh, Hayden and
Yeah.
Julia, like that's who she is,
Yeah.
right? Like
On TV and what they see, you see in the news, and what you look like.
you see headlines and news gossip and all that kind of stuff. You see the TV show and then you see pictures. You're absolutely right.
That's it.
And that's all you get. And this is why I really appreciate just how I just want to acknowledge it for anyone who's going to read this book. Like, you get to see someone who's, I believe, lived through a lot of hardship, but has
It does work.
need to reflect and introspect about what's happening. And when you put it that way, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize Aiden's going through this. She's living through the reality, and I want to talk to you about the anxiety that you're experiencing. And then at the same time, you're living it twice because now you're having to act it at work, and they're writing around you being pregnant to have the show continue, and then after that, as well.
Hello.
So talk to me about where the debilitating anxiety was coming from and what it felt like to live it twice.
It felt like it never ended. I didn't know where Juliet began and Hayden ended. In the beginning, when I first started doing Nashville, I thought, well, it's just a coincidence that our lives have so many similarities. It must be. And then as the years went on, the episodes went on, and everything started matching up from who Juliet Barnes was dating to being an alcoholic, to postpartum depression, to losing her child, basically abandoning her child. Then it was like, okay, you guys are just mirroring my life, and we would get we wouldn't get the episodes very far ahead of time. So to go to them and say, hey, you got to change this and that wasn't anything I was used to doing. I was just used to doing my job and making it work. But it felt like the day never ended, and we would shoot 10 months out of the year end 12 to 20-hour days, and I never thought I was a method actor. And I've worked with method actors who, when they play a character, they never they never jump in. They don't jump in and out of the character. They are the character for the entirety of the filming process. To shoot
Mm.
what you want to do, but was unavoidable because it was my life. I couldn't come up for air.
Oh wait.
There was no break from it. And here I was playing this very deeply emotional, dark character. We had so much alike, but we were different in who we were as people. But especially when I was on set even during breaks, I didn't even realize that I was becoming her constantly, and I wasn't therefore taking care of myself, able to take care of myself mentally and decompress and process what's going on in my life. Nor did I want to talk about it because I spent all day acting it out and crying. I just felt like I was holding my breath all the time and I couldn't get away from it. And you're in a contract and I became desperate and I was doing that's why I turned to substances because the anxiety that I started having the panic attacks that I started having. I used to have nerves a lot, and I had stage fright. I've had stage fright since I was a kid, but those good nerves that keep you on your toes at some point turned into genuine anxiety that made me incapable of functioning properly or thinking clearly, made me physically shake. So I was self-medicating and looking for relief at the bottom of a bottle, and it was the only thing that worked. But I needed to numb. I needed to self numb. I needed my brain to take a trip and needed to go on a vacation. I needed it to not think about all these ugly things for just a little while. And I didn't find myself able to do that without the help of a drink.
Yeah, I mean, explain to me the complexity of, I asked this from the perspective of having so many friends who've gone through postpartum depression
Hmm.
and it just not being talked about enough,
Yeah.
and whether it be even initially when it happened,
Joel, I'm
speaking to a lot of my
watching,
friends and them not understanding what their partner was going through, only
even
then
though nobody asked.
that we were just unaware of, the amount of women that go through postpartum depression. To me, the complexity of the emotion of
Hayden
having your
Cantor
the emotions that come with that as being older,
podcast.
and then the
She
postpartum
is on
depression that follows that.
The Purpose,
From as a young age, I was
talking about her life.
it was something that I always knew that I would be, always wanted to be. And I had all these ideas in my head of the kind of mother that I was going to be. I was going to have cameras in every room and I was going to capture this and that. And I was going to get them into all these different extracurricular activities and made sure that they spoke different languages. And like I had
I
this
think I'm gonna have to go inside.
plan in
Honestly.
my head. And then I
That is
had my daughter, and I, I knew something was just terribly, terribly wrong. A stigma around postpartum, and there's a lot of misunderstanding. And it's on it's on a spectrum. It's on a scale, and fortunately, I never felt any hostility or negativity towards my child. Thankfully, uh, but I wasn't connecting with her the way that I knew I should be, and that I was full of stress and anxiety all the time, and what I was doing to suppress those emotions was not normal. It was not healthy. I was miserable. I was in tears all the time. um Even though the alcohol helped, my nervous system calm down, it is a depressant. So over time, it made things worse, not better. In a moment or two, it might give you the illusion that it's making things better, but ultimately it becomes it backfires and it becomes a disaster. But Vlad was incredibly supportive, even though he had no idea what was going on. And I had no idea what was going on either because I had never been around anybody who had ever experienced postpartum depression before. I'd never heard it spoken about. You know, my mom, the females in my life, nobody ever said anything about it. All of their stories were of these beautiful, positive.
Hold on, y'all.
Girl, it's kinda hot to be doing that.
I know that's why I'm turning it off.
Yeah, boy, it's hot as hell, boy. Hey. Oh, my sandpaper away. You crazy girl? I'll be done my sandpaper away, guys. Well, just in case it.
I don't know what that was.
Yeah, bro, sandpaper, bro. This can last freaking. You know how long I had this? Well, you know how long Grandpa had this?
Hmm.
This been freaking in Grandpa's toolbox since. Nigga. All it does is just like,
So what the frick is it for?
just for like sending things down. Like here, for example, here, let's see. Like, look. See this?
Mm-hmm. Oh.
This is good. This stuff.
All right.
You can use this on like a skateboard or something.
All right. I love. Okay, it feels better in here. Yes, sir.
Moments of joy and love, and I would say expectation leads to disappointment, but in this way I had, of course I had expectations, and they were good, and they were positive, and they were going to be, life was going to be great. And at about 4 months old, I finally went to Vlad and I said, I need help. I can't live like this anymore. You know, something is terribly wrong. And he said, okay, let's get you some help. I went to a facility during the hiatus of the show, so I was kept private. But I was there for alcoholism. They were treating me for alcoholism, and nobody ever said anything about postpartum depression there. So I felt unfixable. I felt like there was no way out of it, and I was trying to process the idea that maybe I was going to be depressed like this for the rest of my life, and this was just the new normal. So that was terrifying. I had this gorgeous, sweet angel child, healthy. I was so lucky and blessed, and I was just a mess. I was just a mess, and there was nothing that I could do to fix it properly. And it felt like there was nobody around who understood because it was so much stigma.
All right, good luck.
Understood. It took me 10 months to realize what it was that was going on, of me researching and figuring it out myself.
Oh, you had to do it yourself. because I know also you talk about how like when you finally did talk about it, you even lost an endorsement deal.
Yep. Neutrogena, I was with for 10 years. And I mean, they have morals clauses, which was a huge, it had a huge impact in my life. Because I was a teenager and I had all the paparazzi around me catching all of these gory moments, like every moment, every cigarette that I smoked, or bad outfit, or oh, she's looking chunky in a bathing suit,
Some breaks in it.
vagina. I mean, I went through all of that, for everything.
What the freak is break solution?
Just like, where did you call back to the break?
Mm.
I mean, you don't really need it, but I mean, like, it would just help. Feel me?
Yeah.
Did how much it took to write this book? We're talking about specific events that we're diving into in this.
I love.
Learn so much more about everything we're talking about. But I can't imagine just how much excavating it took, and then to add to it all, you write about in the book how you had a stalker, and through the isolation, through the and I'm just like,
It just keeps getting better.
how does that feel to be going through grief, to be isolated, and then be dealing with that on top of everything that you've gone through that you shared today?
They have that saying, when it rains, it pours. I feel that all the time. We go through periods of times where it's being so great, and then everything will go wrong all at once. I don't know if
Whoa.
Mercury in retrograde, or the something in the air. Like, what is going on to make all these things happen? But the experience with him is the man who was
Hopefully, I got
terrifying. This man was not just a stalker who was a big fan. Like, he was genuinely mentally unwell, and leaving message after message about how he was going to bring his katana sword and decapitate. And he was I had to actually cancel speaking engagements that I had, because he was flying and he was waiting for me there. Now, I've had stalkers before in the past who are
That's too much,
right,
bro.
no action, and you go.
Y'all give these famous people grace, bro. They're going through shit just like everybody else, but probably 10 times worse.
And there are those that you realize are incredibly dangerous. They mean what they say, and the FBI and Secret Service had to get involved. And I mean, I thank them both, all of them, from the bottom of my heart, for getting him and for putting him away. He did just recently get out, so
Wow.
um I've it's I'm feeling, all these different emotions going on, while having I like the way you say it, excavated my life and written this book and put it all out there. Very emotional topics, that to deal with something like this on top of it, and knowing that he just got out too of jail recently, um is scary. The whole experience was just, to deal with somebody that's that unhinged is terrifying. Because it goes back to that, you can't reason with the unreasonable, and you have no idea what they're capable of when you don't know what somebody is capable of. I mean, we've all seen people do things that we would never imagine them people being capable of doing, and and to feel like you're sitting in limbo and just and you have no idea if they're going to show the stories that we've heard in the past of people showing up and just boom, you're done. You're gone. We deal with
Dang, you can hear it in her
like
voice, like she's
one of the most terrible
been going through so much.
things in the
Can't even begin to imagine. I'm
Yeah.
happy that you're.
It was the icing. The icing on the cake. It was very, very thick.
I'm happy that you're protected and that you're taking the right precautions and measures because you're absolutely right. And just glad that you have the right people around you to see you through this.
Yeah.
I've been, I wanted to. There's only one last thing I wanted to say to you and ask you was just, when you came in here, and I want to point this out because you've had to revisit for this conversation to talk about the book. We've revisited so many hard and dark moments in your life.
Mhm.
When you came in today, you had this big smile in it.
Hungry Root makes sticking to my anti-inflammatory diet so I just started.
Eh,
I would have a ton of options, but Hungry
We walked over here. We were having a wonderful conversations, and you were telling me just about this next chapter of your life and how excited you are to attract goodness into your life and attract love into your life, and just and I could see in your eyes, and you are this light, as you said as yourself in your journal, and I want people to know that I felt that and saw that when you came in because we've revisited the past
Mhm.
that is tough and is talked about in your book. This is me, but when you write a book like this, it almost feels like the end of a chapter and the beginning of a new one as well. You
Mhm.
can put all of this together
Exactly. Yeah.
and share it. And I wanted to ask you that what would you want to call the chapter of this that you're entering into now that you walked in with today that I got to experience?
I don't know yet. It was one of the hardest parts of this too was figuring out what to call it. I felt like I couldn't come up with a name until I was done the process of the book. Because sometimes people do it in the middle of the experience. Sometimes people do it. They need a title before they start the process of writing, and I felt like I had to wait till the end. So, I mean, I would have to. I feel like to come up with something good, I would have to see where the book went, see where my life is going to go, because I finally feel like I have shaken off all of this darkness and this negativity, and that means that I've closed one door and another door is opened, and I can feel it open, and I can feel all the possibilities, all the exciting possibilities. I feel like I have a lot more life to live.
Absolutely. I think you're one of the toughest, most vulnerable, and bravest people who sat in that chair, and I really notice and acknowledge just how much work you've had to do to even be sitting here right now to share your story with this much grace and courage. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being here, and I'm really looking forward for people to read this book, and I hope it reaches the people who really need it right now.
Yeah.
People who may be caught in cycles that you found yourself in can break out, that it can protect others who are in the early stages of careers like yours.
I pray. I just wanted to help people. I want what I have gone through to be for a reason, to have happened, everything to have happened for a reason, and for that reason to be to help people go through whatever it is, whatever challenges they're facing, and to know that it's possible. It can be done. Yeah,
Can I give you a hug?
of course.
If you love this episode, you'll really enjoy the episode with Selena Gomez on befriending your inner critic and how to speak to yourself with more compassion.
There's blessing in the breaking. And every moment that you encounter in your life, even if it's just
Excuse me.
privilege,